Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I feel like I'm dreaming. I really do. I feel like I'm dreaming when I'm watching this Flyer squad. They swept the Rangers in a home-and-home. They grab all 4 points. They continue their win streak, and they won 6 in a row. I have to be dreaming. Pinch me. Please pinch me, because this is not real life. Fantastic hockey. Well. Fantastic they got the win. Saying fantastic hockey might be a reach based off of that third period, based off of being on their heels while the Rangers kept swarming, based off of taking penalties late, and making me a little bit nervous because the waves from the Rangers continued to come late in that hockey game. They just built up such a big lead that it wasn't insanely scary. It got me thinking, but it wasn't insanely scary. I did not like that third period, and we will get to that third period. But before we do, we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. If you are looking to buy tickets to support the Flyers or the Sixers or any team out there, even a concert, by the way, you can use SeatGeek and use the promo code BROADS at the checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase, which, oh, by the way, is essentially free parking. Also, I am giving away Sixers tickets. Go follow me at Broads81 on Twitter and retweet my pinned tweet for a chance to win Sixers tickets to the game against the Pistons on March 11th. So the Flyers hold on. They do. They hold on. It got a little bit closer than I would have liked it to, but ultimately they played a good hockey game and they got the 2 points. I am so happy with the way this team is playing. Really, I am very happy with the way the squad has been over this stretch. And I'll tell you something that's very important that if the organization didn't know for the last 10 years, then shame on them. Goaltending matters. Carter Hart is special. He is lethal. He was one of the reasons why this team won the game. You can look at his save percentage after and see 885, and that doesn't splash. You can see that he allowed 3 goals and 26 shots, and that doesn't really splash. By the way, all of those 3 power play goals. So the Rangers scored on the power play for every single one of their goals. That's not Carter Hart's fault. Carter Hart made grade A scoring chances. I'll give you an example. In the first period, the Flyers actually scored 3 total goals. 2 on the power play and 1 on the penalty kill. That was their strongest period of the game, without a doubt. Easily their best period. First one was Matt Niskanen on the peeper. Aube-kubel had a wide open net. He hits the far post and it bounces right out to Niskanen. He buries it. Sean Couturier scores on the second power play. Travis Konechny and Voracek get the helpers on that. And then shorthanded was Grant to Raffl, who beats Lundqvist on this great move. And yes, the Rangers put Lundqvist in net. Questionable decision from the jump, and it did backfire because Lundqvist clearly looked shot. Maybe it has to do with confidence as well, but he does not look like the same netminder whatsoever. My point going with Carter Hart, though, the Flyers had a 3-goal lead in the first period, and the first period ended 3-0. If this was any other season, if this was any other goalie in the Flyers' last 10 seasons, 10 years of Flyers hockey, it would have been 3-2. He saved a beautiful scoring chance out of Kakko, wide open in the slot early in the first period. And then on Zibanejad, who had a breakaway, he comes up huge, and the puck ends up going to the corner after the save. Any other year, it's 3-2 after the first period, and that changes the game completely. But instead, it's 3-0. That's how big Carter Hart was, and it wasn't just that moment and those 2 saves that I speak about, because the third period, grade A scoring chances for the Rangers left and right. Now, you can praise Carter Hart for coming up big, which you need to do, but you can also be disappointed with the Flyers to an extent for allowing those opportunities to come. The Rangers had way too many good looks late in the game that they should never have. It was as if the Flyers were on their heels, they were getting nervous, and the Rangers just swarmed performed and continue to find ways to get good looks on net. But that's what great goaltenders do. That's what great teams do. They find ways to win. When times get tough, they might rely on their goaltender, but teams who win championships in this league, they have a goaltender that they can rely on in big moments. I always date it back to The Save by Braden Holtby. The Save. That's the play that is remembered when they look back at their Stanley Cup championship. My point is, you got to have a netminder that you can rely on when things break down, and the Flyers did that in this game. Now, there was also a moment that stood out to me as well, and this was in the second period. So the Flyers actually take a 4-0 lead once Grant scores about 2 minutes or so into the second period. It was a really nice move off the wall, and he beat Lundqvist on a really solid move. It was pretty looking. His 15th of the season, and I said when the Flyers picked him up, that was a tremendous depth move based off the fact that they barely gave anything up. He's not making any money, and he puts the puck behind the netminder. So let's be real. That move by Chuck Fletcher at the deadline was fantastic for the Flyers' position that they were in. When it was 4-0, Zibanejad scores on the power play. The Rangers had so much momentum, a lot of momentum, but they took a penalty, and the Flyers, within seconds of that power play, scored to make it 5-1. That response, it was Travis Konechny from Provorov and Voracek. Voracek's second of the night, which makes it his 6th in the 2 games against the Rangers, which is very magnificent, of course. But for the Flyers to respond right there in that moment, seconds after the Rangers had a ton of momentum, that's what special teams do. Not saying special teams in terms of the power play, although that makes sense as well. But I mean, that's what great teams do in this league. If you are a successful squad in this league, when you have a chance to make a game-changing play, you do that. You do that. And that spot right there, halfway through the second period-ish, the Flyers came up big to stop the bleeding, to put themselves back up comfortably. It was a really big moment, and as I'm watching the game, that stood out to me big time. My brain, a big light bulb went off in my head and said, wow. When little things like that happen, I take that to heart. I notice those little things. Because you know why? First off, I've experienced gut-wrenching losses when you date back when the game's over, right? Say you lose a hockey game once you're up 3-0. But once it was 3-0, your team had a moment to get on the power play to make it 4-0, but you didn't. When you lose the game and you're sitting in the locker room, you ask yourself, where did it go wrong? What happened? What moment lost us this game? And then you think, wow, we had a power play late first period. We had a power play middle second period to make it 4-0. We had a wide open net and didn't. So I've experienced those moments, and I can appreciate the Flyers having a chance and answering the bell. And by the way, this is a Flyers team that isn't great statistically on the power play. Now, for as great as they were on the power play, abysmal on the PK. First off, they took 6 penalties. They allowed 3 goals. The power play for the Rangers, you're giving them way too many chances. They're setting the puck up. They're moving the puck well. Come on. You got to be stronger on the PK. First off, you got to stay out of the box. I was very disappointed in late penalties and just penalties throughout the game. You got to clean it up. You take a few steps back. I'm thrilled that the Flyers won the hockey game, and I thought for, I would say, 85% of the game, 80% of the game, I was very happy with what the Flyers did. But there was about 20% or so where they need to clean it up. You're not going to be perfect every night. You're not going to play 100% every night. I'm thrilled that they grabbed 4 points in a home-and-home situation against the Rangers when the Rangers were playing red-hot hockey. Like, that's why I'm so pumped up about this win, even though there are things I can nitpick at. But still, they do need to clean it up as well. The penalty kill and the penalties need to be fixed. But how about that power play? Now, I can relate this to the Sixers. Remember when the Sixers won on Christmas Day against the Bucks and they shot like 95% from 3? And you realize that's not what this team is. That's how I feel about the power play in this game. That's not what this team is. The Flyers don't score that many power play goals, but also you can counter by saying their PK is normally not that bad either. So it was just a really weird game. It was a weird game overall. I mean, you look at the 5-on-5 play, it's not like that's where teams really made the most of their time out there. There were a lot of penalties called on both sides, a lot of power play goals scored on both sides, and it was just that way. Sometimes games can be funky, sometimes games can be different. I mean, they have their own personalities. Games have their own personalities, and this one was clearly a special teams type game. So you look at Grant, who was acquired at the deadline. 2 points. Voracek, 2 points. Travis Sanheim, he recorded 2 apples. Travis Konechny, a goal and an assist. Sean Couturier, a goal. And he wasn't even supposed to play. He was questionable with the flu. The flu game. The Michael Jordan flu game. That's what I like to call it. Although, it wasn't equivalent to what Michael Jordan did during his flu game at all. But it's just funny to go that way. Did I expect Couturier to not go with flu-like symptoms? I expected him to play. Come on, is that really going to hold Sean Couturier back? No. And if you listen to the NBC pregame with Keith Jones and Milbury, it was actually hilarious because they were asking who is the best player for the Flyers, the most important player for the Flyers, and Keith Jones clearly states that it's Sean Couturier, and I think everybody who has been following this team throughout the season could agree that that is a great response. He makes everyone around him better. He's a great centerman. He does all the little things right. He makes his teammates better. And Millsbury goes with Jake Voracek. And instantly, Keith Jones says, I disagree. And it was just great. I mean, you're clearly wrong, Mike. Keith Jones, who is with the team, by the way, majority of the time, I think he would know. And I also think if you follow hockey, you should know that. So the easy, obvious answer is Sean Couturier is one of the most important players on this team, probably the most, besides, I would say, the goaltending, just because goaltending is so important. You talk about the little things. Sean Couturier does the little things, and so did Kevin Hayes in this game. Now, he didn't stand out on the stat sheet afterwards, but there was a play in the third period during that run by the Rangers, and this is so little, it's so simple, and I actually figure that a lot of people didn't even pick up on this play. But he went from the offensive zone, he back-checked his ass off, and he just got a stick on puck. A stick on puck. The Rangers tried to center it through the slot. The Rangers would have had a wide-open chance to score in the slot, but because of his back check, he just gets his stick on the puck, it goes behind the goal line, and then the play breaks up. Something so little. A 200-foot game. And those are the little things that no one really points out, that doesn't get seen on the stat sheet afterwards. They're the little plays that this team is committed to doing. You got Robert Haig blocking shots off of his helmet, blocking shots off of his face. You got aube-kubel stepping up and being a guy who's contributing on the power play. Bench depth. I guess that's the Sixers talk in me coming out. The forwards depth, not the bench depth. The Sixers need bench depth, but I digress. This is all about the Flyers. This is about the hot team in the city. This is about the best team in the city right now, the Philadelphia Flyers. I'll go crazy about the Sixers Clippers later on, but for right now, it's about enjoying the depth with the forwards. You get a little bit of everything. Couturier, TK, Voracek. You get a little bit of aube-kubel, Grant. Pitlick gets an assist. You get some defense scoring. Matt Niskanen with a goal. Travis Sanheim, 2 assists. And I got to give credit to the D-Corps for this run that they're on for this 6-game win streak. They play strong. Now, there were defensive zone breakdowns in this game, so I can't go too heavily thrilled about the defense totally. But as I kind of state, when you take a step back and you look at the big picture with this team, yes, I can be satisfied with them. Players like Phil Myers, what? What is this great play? He has really turned into his own player. Travis Sanheim. These young defensemen are playing strong. They're playing smart. They're playing physical. They're not afraid to turn away from the physicality. Now, actually, I was on 97.3 ESPN this morning with Billy Schweim, and one of the things we discussed that he didn't like, keep in mind he's an old-school fighting hockey guy who loved the 70s and the 80s and that style of hockey. When the Flyers beat the Rangers in Philadelphia and Scott Laughton was getting punched in the face, he hated that. He thought Scott Laughton looked soft, and he thought he looked stupid, as if, he wanted Scott Laughton to drop his gloves and pound them. And I'm thinking, dude, the score is, 5-1, 5-2? You beat down on the Rangers. Why play the game that they want you to play? Play your own style. Also, Scott Laughton broke his hand earlier this season, so maybe that played a role as well. But when you're up easily, when you're up comfortably and you're beating down on a team, don't get sucked into that crap. You smile, you laugh, you move on to the bench. Especially knowing you're going to see that team in a couple nights in their building. I don't see the reason to fight. You got to pick and choose your spots on when to fight. When you're down 3-1, when you're down 3-2, and you're trying to get the team some momentum, you're trying to get the boys going, that's when you choose to fight. You even saw it in this tilt as well. Who was it? Aube-Kubel? Who drew a penalty? The Flyers went on the power play because he didn't feel like dropping his gloves after you saw the frustration by the Rangers? The Rangers gave so much effort to get to the spot where they are at now. Maybe they are hitting a fatigue level because it took so much out of them to go on that insane run to put them at least in the conversation that maybe they're running out of steam. And you lose Chris Kreider, which is a significant loss to the lineup. You got to deal with Lundqvist, who is not playing strong in between the net. And that is also a variable as well. By the way, I got to give a shout out to my boy Tony DeAngelo, a good friend of mine who's a defenseman on the Rangers. He hits 100 career points in his NHL career, his young NHL career, and he is an unbelievable watch. I can't wait to watch his career play out. It stinks he plays on such a rival squad of the Flyers, but I will always support my friends around the league. So it's just awesome to watch him play and to see what he does on the blue line. He's gross, and he really contributes offensively. He's a splashy player out there. He's having a great season. So I definitely have to congratulate him on hitting such a big milestone, and there will be plenty of more milestones throughout his career. So congratulations to him. A question I asked, though, after this game, because it did feel funky at the end. It got a little sweaty, if you will. Not crazily, though. I'm not going to an extreme and think I really thought the Flyers were going to lose it, but they did not play great in the third, late in the third, because the Rangers felt a sense of urgency. They got on their toes. They know how important these points are. They looked really focused late in the game, and the Flyers were taking penalties, so it wasn't the smoothest ending at all. But because of that, I asked this question: Are you specifically satisfied with the way that it played out? Because I am. I think the way that they started the game, that first period, was special, and no pun intended, but they scored 3 special teams goals during that time. I'm not going to take away all their great things because they looked sloppy late in the third. I will criticize that third and some portions of that second, but you can't take away the greatness, and I think that there was more greatness involved than ugliness, and I think good teams, even though things get a little choppy and sloppy, good teams find ways, good goaltending steps up, and Carter Hart has not been great on the road whatsoever. 3.88 goals against average, close to 4, so he pretty much cut that in half. The save percentage, I think, is flawed in this game because he was so good, and the level of saves that he made of the 23, they were legit. They were legit saves, not just your casual shots from far away and he pushes them to the corner. No, you're talking in the slot area. You're talking good puck movement and he slides across and makes the play. You're talking about breakaways from Zibanejad. You're talking about Kakko wide open in the slot and he gets a legit wide open opportunity and he comes up point blank with it. So I don't think the save percentage really shows how great of a performance it was by Cat Hat. I was actually impressed with the Rangers media team for giving Alain Vigneault and Kevin Hayes the warm reception. I mean, I guess they spent a lot of time there. You look at what Alain Vigneault did, brought them to the Stanley Cup. They were very close to winning the Stanley Cup that year. Kevin Hayes, he started his young career out in New York, and he was a great teammate, a great player, and great in the community as well. So I'm not trying to make it seem like, wow, I can't believe it. Like, how crazy is it that the Rangers supported these guys after they left? I'm not trying to make it seem like that. But, you're going up against your rival, and it's such a hostile environment, and it's a brutal stretch down the end of the season, and I don't know. I guess I just never really thought about it until I saw it, but the fans there were really appreciative of those two. They were not appreciative of the first period play. You heard the boo birds come out early, and I'm laughing like, hey, that's what we do in Philadelphia. I thought just the Philadelphia fans were so brutal. I didn't realize this was all around sports. Of course, I'm being sarcastic, but if you listen to the media, they make it seem like the Philadelphia fan base is the only fan base to get on their team when things are going wrong. No. That's what passionate sports fans do. That's what the big East Coast cities do when their teams are not performing at a high level, and the Rangers were hearing it from their fans because they were not playing at a high level. Now, we mentioned Panarin in the past. Panarin is a reason why the Rangers have been very solid throughout the last stretch or so, and his name didn't pop that much. It didn't pop as much as it did in Philadelphia. So I thought the Flyers did a hell of a job at, you can't stop elite players in this league, but making him less of a factor than he can be is important. And, his name wasn't flying around the broadcast, and it wasn't being brought up a ton during these insane plays that the Rangers had. Now, there were moments, no doubt. Like I said, you don't stop these type of players completely, but you limit them. And I thought the Flyers, did a good job when it came to Panarin. I thought Zibanejad might have benefited from things like that. You put your focus on one guy so heavily, and then other good players around him start executing and being flashy, and his speed was on display at times, no doubt. I'm happy with the Flyers win, really. I feel like I'm dreaming. I feel like I should be pinched. It doesn't seem like real life, but this team is playing with swagger, and it's playing with that it factor, and I'm mind blown. I would have never imagined. I'm mind blown. And I feel like at some point throughout every recap conversation, the words, I would have never imagined in a million years, come out of my mouth, because it's the truth, though. They won both against the Rangers. They won both. Now they got to play the Capitals in Washington, D.C. Is that possible? Can the Flyers really make a push for the first spot in the Metropolitan? Did that really just come out of my mouth? Woo-hoo, let's go. I can't wait. I can't wait for Wednesday. Flyers hockey is so meaningful. It has such a big impact right now on my life, to the point where I get fueled up to watch this team play, and I forget what this feeling is like. It's so new to me. It's so raw to me that it puts a smile in my face. I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, and I'm thinking, oh, the Flyers play today. Oh, let's go. The Flyers play today. Ew, let's go. That's where they are at. And I couldn't be any more happy about it. Cat a hat. Let's go. What a big performance. What a great win. Hit that thumbs up button. Thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you next time.